It's Edgeshot, Best Genius, Eraserhead, and just about every pro hero you can imagine. It is the world versus the crawler, and honestly, my money's on the crawler. Welcome everyone, it's Dylan from Class 1A, bringing you another My Hero Academia Vigilantes chapter breakdown, and this week, we have Chapter 97, Pursuers. We open up a chapter right after Koichi has ditched the police, but Ingenium is hot on his tail. For Koichi, this must be a really troubling moment because Ingenium was the first hero to really see him as an equal and encouraged him on his journey. And that works vice versa. Ingenium doesn't want to hurt Koichi here. In fact, this is where we kind of dive into the hero's feelings. We see what the heroes are thinking for the first time since they really started coming after Koichi. They aren't after him because he's a vigilante, but instead to save him from himself. This moment is the first in the trend for this chapter in a couple different areas, so make sure you take note. Ingenium is definitely one of the fastest heroes out there besides All Might, so being able to dodge and evade him like this just really is telling on how strong Koichi is getting with his power. After dodging the turbo hero Ingenium, we see Koichi's squad chatting here, and we really see why they're avoiding working for the police for the first time instead of just kind of doing it. So they know that someone has infiltrated the police, and it could be anyone, anywhere, so they can't really trust anyone but themselves. They have just enough info to be cautious, but not enough to really go to the heroes and work with them to figure out what's going on. Also, we see this dude. Is he from something? Am I drawing a blank here? I feel like I've seen him before, but I don't quite remember, but I love him. Look at him. He's great. I want more of him. And if things weren't getting tough enough already for Koichi, he runs into more top 10 heroes. Best Genius and Edgeshot. Look at him. The number one. Back to back to back to back to back. Top Genius in the world. Undisputed Best Genius. Look at him. I love him in the scene. He just posing around all over the place. He's such a dork. I love him. He's so extra. And again, we dive into the hero's motivations here. Best Genius is saying that they lost Koichi's trust and that they're going to prove themselves to him. They're real heroes and they can do this. And then they get into another exchange and try to capture Koichi. Both of them together try to capture Koichi and he evades them. This is unreal. Koichi is going up against top level heroes who've probably worked together before, whose quirks actually go together, and he's still being able to dodge them and evade them. Now, he's not going up and defeating them, his power level is not that that high, but he's still able to use his quirk to get out of this situation, which is unreal. So the question here is, are they sandbagging against Koichi? Are they kind of letting him escape, so to speak? I would say no. From the last chapter, we saw how adamant the detective was on actually capturing Koichi. So I think this is definitely very real. It's just we're not getting the, Endeavor trying to kill him, kind of capturing him, and more of actually trying to capture Koichi. So I think that is aiding in his ability to evade them a little bit. But this still is a bunch of top level heroes trying to actually capture him. And this is his real skill showing. And then finally, after Koichi thinks he's dodged all the heroes, he's finally safe in the back alleys, we meet our very favorite soon-to-be teacher, Eraserhead. And he is looking mean. Oh, wow. This is such a great way to end the chapter. It's a good cliffhanger. Eraserhead's been a long, beloved hero in this series just alone. He's been a weird kind of mentor to Koichi. But we don't really know his full motivations. So him showing up here and with that mean look on his face it just sends chills down my spine. So I guess the big question here is what happens next for this battle? I think it's going to go one of two ways. So I think we could have a Eraserhead versus Koichi fight, which honestly it's no contest here. Eraser's just going to beat him very, very easily. He's just going to erase his quirk and then throw a scarf around him, capture him. That's going to be super easy. Or the second option is Eraserhead is actually going to sympathize with Koichi, kind of work with him. I mean, Eraserhead at this moment is kind of roguelike anyway, so it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for him to work with Koichi, especially since they have that history together. Or the secret third option that I'm thinking of is Knuckleduster actually shows up. So think about it. Eraser erases all the quirks, right? But he can't erase Knuckledusters. And it would be a really good callback to the beginning of the series where they did have that exchange. They fought a little bit, and Eraserhead was like, oh, wow, this guy doesn't have a quirk. That's how we actually found out in the beginning of the series. The Knuckleduster did not have a quirk. He was just using his raw power. So I think it would be a good callback to that and actually bring it back into bring back Knuckleduster into the main series. It could be really cool. And when I say Knuckleduster, I mean, of course, the mantle of Knuckleduster, because I still buy into the theory that Knuckleduster isn't around anymore, and it is actually his daughter that took up the mantle that we saw from last chapter of where Knuckledusters were taken. I actually don't think that it is him. It's probably just his daughter, which I think would be really cool if she showed up and kind of started throwing down with Eraserhead here. Either way, I really love these Civil War style arcs. It's always super fun to see the heroes kind of go up against each other because we see how strong all the heroes are, and they're always fighting villains, and that's like, that's cool and all, but we really want to see how their power levels stack up against each other. I think having these kind of like situations is always really good. In the main series, we have them whenever they're doing, student versus student activities. But here, I think it's a really cool way to, see how Koichi actually stands up against the pro heroes and to show that he actually is a really, really strong hero at this point. And so the big elephant in the room right now is what is going to happen with Koichi in the main series. I mean, he's getting a lot stronger. He has a lot of interactions with pro heroes. So why haven't we heard of him in the main series? So I think a couple things happen here. So one, he retires. Not likely. Two, he goes to America. Whatever happens here, he gets sent to America. I think that kind of makes a lot of sense. And the third option is he just never gets his hero license and he's kind of just like in the back alleys somewhere, which I think is kind of a combination. So I think he probably doesn't get his hero license in Japan for whatever reason, probably related to the stuff he's doing, Hey, Koichi, you've been a vigilante for like 4 years now. We're not going to give you a hero license. You've been doing illegal stuff. And he goes, oh, okay, I'll just go to another country and be a hero there. So I think this is probably pretty important because we're at in the main series. Not going to really spoil the main series. We have a ton of videos on that. If you want to check them out, feel free to go check those out. But to paint it in kind of broad terms, we're at a moment of where we need a lot of heroes. And I think this is kind of the moment of where a pro hero can kind of reach out to Koichi, someone that has like that rapport with him, and bring him from wherever he is. I think he's probably in America at this point. Bring him from America back into Japan and say, hey, listen, we need heroes. You're a really strong one. You've proven yourself before. We need you here. And that's how you kind of bring him back into the main series. I don't think he'll probably be like an ongoing main character in the main series. I think that would kind of take away from this series a little bit, but I think it'd be a nice little callback if we saw him in a scene, or we saw just like one kind of like action scene of him going up against the villains that we know today. I think that'd be really cool. Regardless, we are getting into the end game here. I originally thought it was going to end in under 100 chapters, but I think we're going to go on for just a little bit longer. So this definitely is the last arc, and I don't see too many big reveals or anything coming. I think we're going to shape up to go into a final fight and kind of end things there, but we're getting really, really close. I think the rest of the series from here on out is going to be absolutely incredible, and I hope you're going to read along with me. But what do you all think is next for Koichi? Is he a dead man here, or is he going to be a secret top 10 hero? Let us know down in the comments below. But thank you all so much for listening or watching. Be sure to subscribe here at youtube.com/class1a for all the My Hero Academia content we do. We do a ton of stuff every Saturday. We have My Hero Academia podcast where we go over any topic that you can think of. We have Vigilantes every 2 weeks that comes out, and also the main manga every single week. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you next class.